GamerDude 2088, and today we're gonna talk about the Fire Kabir, the Earth Kabir, and Fireclops, the ToT God. Now, at first, when I was gonna do this video, I was like really thinking heavily on the Fire Kabir because I had, when the new creatures came out, I was thinking about the Parasite, since Parasite was one of my favorite mechanics in the game, and since one of my earliest units that progressed me, which was the Fire Faceless, had Parasite, that made me want to look for a unit that also provided but wasn't a 4-star, and we didn't have any 2-stars until the Fire Kabir. So I was looking at a lot of people making posts and showing how many Parasites that they had on the enemy with the Fire Kabir, and I'm like, wait a sec, I gotta really talk about Fire Kabir being the ToT God, and I gotta put it together. Then I remember Vulcan talking about pairing the Fire Kabir and the Earth Kabir, so it kind of piqued some interest to me because I knew I was going to do a video about the Fire Kabir. So I'm like, all right, let me see what the Earth Kabir does. And I'm reading, I'm like, okay, it sounds pretty cool, but I don't quite get it yet. So maybe it's something I have to test out. And then I know also Childish was just talking so heavily about the resistance debuff, and that's something that the not the Fire Kabir, but the Earth Kabir provides. And then I remember another guy, I can't remember who it is, but he loves the Fire Cyclops so much, and I'm like, Fireclops, what's so special about him? Okay, he extends debuffs. It seemed like that's pretty cool, but it's his passive, so he does it every turn to the unit that he attacks. And I'm like, alright, this can't be as good as what it really is, until I just kind of dove into this fight and actually did it. And I thought Herman and George was OP and ToT, but this combination that I had just came up with was just insane. So this is 3 easy units to obtain, and 2 units that's easier but not as easy to obtain, but most of us should have, which is a WHS and Fireclops. And if you don't, I'm sure there's any other units can fill those spots. I mean, healer and something else, more CC or whatever. Pay close attention to my rambling in this video because I'm kind of talking low, and then I got my guildie tied in Discord with me when I'm doing this video. But my rambling, I'm actually explaining exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing and what I'm expecting at each given point. So with no further ado,
it's just like we did earlier.
I know, right? It's like over and over. Let's continue to record the same damn thing.
I mean, shots might be good against.
Alright, we off to a good start.
One shock, one thunder kill.
Everything that can be frozen is frozen, so we good to go. Now, what I want to do is to go straight boss. Alright, maybe I should just take the background banter out. Yeah. But yeah, what I think I want to do is go straight boss if I can, because I think I can just lock everything and then just go right in on the boss. And let's use that, see if we can get some turn bars stolen. Because I might be able to just kill the boss by extending the debuffs on the boss. I think I might want to save my cooldown reset for a turn. And then attack the boss. And boss casts his boss. Alright, that's expected. I don't know if this will work on the boss, so I'm not going to use that on the boss. But what I will do is attack another enemy. Let's see if we can blind the boss. Yep, got the blind up. go for the cooldown resets. Let's see if we can purge the boss now. Got it purged up. Ooh, and the extended debuffs. Alright, so we good to go. Now we drop another one of these on the boss. Boom. Now we really in business. And we just continue to just slowly fuck the boss because now he's infinitely locked in our madness. And now I can use this on this unit. And then go back for the freeze again. I could wait a turn. Nope, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it. Well, now they froze. They can't do nothing. I guess I'll just attack that for now. I need a cleanse. Because I'm about to lose Herman. If
No, Herman's that dude.
I know he got 2 poisons on him. That's what's hurting him, and he already got a little damage. And the boss might focus him. I mean, the boss is blind for 3 turns, so I'm good somewhat, but it could be bad once Herman uses his turn because the boss is gonna move right after him. And it was like, if I would have healed, it'd have been a waste. Oh, he didn't go for him. He did hit though, but he didn't go. Boss know exactly who to go for. Like, this motherfucker got all these debuffs on me. I don't like this. Like, yes, sir. And you cannot get them off. We have no form of cleansing. So we're not gonna heal Herman. We're gonna make sure we can keep. Actually, no, we should heal Herman just for the CC, because we got enough turns on our parasites to the point where if we lose fire clops, Herman is just gonna like pretty much keep everything under wraps. So I can extend this more. Got 5 turns of debuffs. That's horrid. I feel bad almost. And I don't have to worry about focusing any of the ads. I can just go straight boss. This is nuts, man. This team is crazy, bro. And it's an easier to obtain team at that. I mean, the debuff increasing from the fire clop, since he's a 3-star, I mean, it makes it a little harder because he is a 3-star. But
yeah,
but essentially, the concept of what the team does should still work relatively well. All right, let's do that on him.
as long as the comp works, I mean.
We got enough turns on the boss, so we're not worried about that. We're just gonna hit him with it. Keep him under rest for a while. Ooh, we almost lost one. We good though.
We Gucci.
So who's about to attack next? You about to attack. You ain't about to do nothing. So we do that to you. Blind everybody. He missed. I thought he was about to hurt us for a second there. Could hit boss with some of this damage, but not like it really matters. Everybody froze. The boss is going down his turn. I got 3 parasites up, and the parasites increase in power over turns. I just hit them for like 70,000 damage worth of parasites. That shit's insane, bro. That shit's insane. Oh my god. That is so insane. So let's look at the glyphs and talk about in more detail the strategy that I was implementing in this fight. So we're going to start off here with the Earth Kabir, which is the fastest unit in this team and has to be the fastest unit because of his third skill, which is breaking barriers, decreases the attack of all enemies for 2 turns and decreases their resistance for 2 turns. Then marks all enemies with 4 focus marks. Now, it's quite important for this skill to go out first because the units that we're building are so squishy, and I'll show you why they're squishy in a second. But they're so squishy because so we need to make sure we have that attack break, which is important and actually really good that this unit has this in its kit. And then the resistance buff, because the higher you get in ToT, the more enemies resist and a lot more accuracy you have to have. So if you can't really reach those really high insane accuracy stats, and like I was saying in my previous videos for ToT, like 80% is a good benchmark to get you about halfway, which is ToT 50. So once you start getting further and further, the resistance requirement gets higher and higher. So at best, you probably wouldn't need any more than 140. And that should be decent to hit. But a lot of us won't be able to hit those numbers. And if we do, maybe that's only for 1 unit. I mean, 1 unit. So going on to that resistance debuff is good. And then the 4 focus markers, which is going to pair well because you need 4 focus marks for the third skill on the Fire Kabir, which we'll get to him in a moment. Then we're going to go into the second skill, casts madness over an enemy, forcing them to attack themselves or other enemies, and removes 3 of their beneficial effects if the targeted enemy is marked with 2 focus marks. Will be confused for 2 turns, which is cool. I mean, and then he has a purge at that, so it kind of eliminates having to bring in an extra unit for a purge because he has it all in this one kit. And the way the strategy work, you definitely gonna like need that kind of stuff. And then what I got on the first skill, attack the enemy, increase attack based on max HP, which means nothing. I mean, it's not really important. And then, you know, here's the stats. I know by now you're looking at 113 accuracy. I mean, it's pretty moderate. It's not really that high. But it's good for this floor because he's going to be landing most of his debuffs anyway. So that's not really a big deal. And the accuracy is critically important. And I believe, okay, he's only on 1 accuracy glyph, but good accuracy stats on it. But yeah, so that's accuracy. You got HP, dash, speed. So yeah, that's just like the basis of it. And I mean, you're just looking for just mostly speed and accuracy stats and get as much HP and def as you can, but it's not priority when building this kind of team. So we want to go to his brother, the unit that you're pairing him with for the most part, the Fire Kabir. Now, my Fire Kabir, I put some of my best of the best glyphs on. And we're going to go to his third skill, Fear and Light. Attacks an enemy, increasing attack based on speed and terrifying them for 1 turn. Really, we don't care about the attack damage and what it does, but the Terrify is important because having that Terrify up is definitely helpful for units that you might have missed when you was trying to CC with your actual CC unit, which is Herman in this fight. if the target, I believe we're in the right order. He comes next, and then Herman goes. It doesn't matter. If the targeted enemy has 4 focus marks, blind all enemies for 2 turns. So this is why the importance of the Earth Kabir's third skill going out first is for his third skill when used. But in most cases, you're going to use the second skill anyway, and then his third skill is like a bonus if you need it. Because you'll notice I don't use it often, and it's only when it's necessary that it comes out. Even in some of the later ToT vids I do with this new team that I built, yeah, you'll notice that. And then attacks, second skill, Firebolt attacks an enemy and implants a parasite that devours 10% of their HP, increasing 8% each lapsing turn for 3 turns. Then marks them with 2 focus marks. And I do have skill ups into these units. I believe they're max skilled or whatever. So I know some of these turns increase from like 2 or whatever and all that good stuff too. But yeah, that good stuff. And this is where your power comes in, the parasite. And since it's a single target parasite, you're not going to really be able to burst things down fast. But you see that he's relatively squishy. He doesn't even have over 10,000 HP. His defense is okay, but his base defense is actually pretty decent. But like I said before, we're focusing mostly on speed and accuracy. That is the most important things here in this fight. And I believe I have him on 2 accuracy glyphs and as much accuracy subs as I can get possible. And it's important because I want that parasite to always land, and then the HP and the death glyph and speed. But want them to land as many of them as possible because the object is for the team not to get hit. So you're providing the correct CC for this team not to be touched, period. And then we're going to go to Herman because Herman got glyphs snatched from him, and I believe we re-glyph Herman. The last glyph removal. Oh yeah, so Herman does go next in the rotation, which is actually important for the CC to go out before the damage goes out anyway. So, and we got him on, what's that, a broken set, because we didn't have a glyph really suited for it just to get the stats we need. And once again, it was just all about the speed and the accuracy for the most part. And you should be familiar with what Herman does by now. I mean, the 2-turn freeze, the blind, which is clutch on second skill, all for the most part, you know what Herman does. But then his glyphs, because he doesn't have the greatest amount of accuracy. This is why we really need that resistance debuff to really help, because I mean we got him on 2 accuracy glyphs and still couldn't get enough because we just couldn't find the stats, because I was just running out of glyphs and it was just pretty hard trying to find the stats we were looking for. But speed, HP, accuracy. So you notice kind of a pattern. If I had another accuracy glyph, even the Earth Kabir would be on double accuracy, but I just ran out of accuracy glyphs, and that's kind of how that goes. Now, for the MVP of it all, which is actually the slowest unit, because I believe WHS moves before him, but it really doesn't matter because his second skill is really not important to have up all the time, and you're not going to use it much anyway. But his third skill is where it's at, which is Cycloping Fort. Okay, I think that's it. I don't know pronunciations. Which increases the duration of the enemy's negative effects by 1. If your HP is below 20%, protects all allies from any non-sticking source of damage for 1 turn. So if he does get low, that will be helpful each turn, seeing that happen. But since most of the time he's just doing his thing, and I don't think he really takes that much damage to get focused, and then he's really slow base unit, I think like 61 speed, so it's hard to really get the speed on him for him to compete with the rest of the team. But you kind of want some accuracy on him. It's really not a lot. I mean, like his second skill is where you're going to need most of the accuracy for, but well, he's decently tanky. He has a really high base defense. HP is okay, but I believe it's a percentile for the most part for the defense. So you definitely can get him decently tanky if needed, because that's what's most important, is getting kind of as much speed as you can and then making him tanky. And then his second skill, Titanic Might, attacks an enemy with a huge attack increase based on own's defense, removes up to 4 of their positive effects, and lowers their turn bar at the cost of 20% of own HP. So this is why you're not really using it a lot, because you do spend 20 HP for this, but this is a really powerful move at the cost of 20%, which is not much, because you can use WHS just to top them back off anyway. And I mean, you pretty much purge practically every debuff the enemy will have on them if necessary. Whatever unit that might needs that purge to happen, plus the passive kicks in at the same time, increasing whatever debuffs you have on them for one turn, which makes the parasites, and if you're trying, and all of the CC is just like so powerful, because you can just infinitely loop it long as he's getting his turns and everything. So it's kind of important keeping him alive once you get debuffs up. So just about everybody else is expendable at that point. Once you get the debuffs up and you can keep the rotation of the debuffs going, then you're kind of good to go there. And then I'll put whatever glyphs I had left and whatever I can use to make him tanky and try to get as much speed as possible on him. So yeah, speed, HP, accuracy, death. So I did focus somewhat into accuracy on him, just because of the turn bar lowering effect. I mean, like that, you do have a resistance check for that, because the purge will always go out anyway, so that doesn't matter, since purge has no resistance to it. But that's kind of how that is. So it's like, get the resistance buff, get the resistance debuff up, freeze everything, drop the parasite on the boss, because when this comp, you can pretty much go straight boss in every fight, at least in most cases. Once I got further, I think it's ToT 90 where I was stuck at before doing this rotation, when being outsped all the way through and insta kill is kind of rough. So it's like this team doesn't quite work so well there, and I have to break it up just to really figure out the strategy I can do, since I can't outspeed, and survival is probably more important than trying to parasite lock the boss itself. So I had to figure that out later. But in most other fights, especially if you can win the first turn or survive past first turn kind of scenario, then having helmet is like insane. I didn't understand how powerful this unit was. I don't even have him evolved yet. That's the crazy thing about it. I need to evolve, get those last few mats. And then the last unit, WHS, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys didn't seen her a million times. She went through some changes since not the last ToT we had, but the one before. That's where she got her big change, and I think I got more speed on her. I'm sure I talked about it in my my personal progression video, which that should be probably in the iCard or something like that. I don't know. It should be. I have to remind myself, take note about that. But her pretty much set up, try to resist everything if she can, even though in ToT's units in there has like 200 fucking accuracy. So even at 110 resistance, you still like get, and she's at 105 right now, but like even if you were like 110 resistance, you still wouldn't resist a lot of the stuff on certain stages. But her little setup, speed, HP, death, resist, which works decently well for me. I mean, she gets the job done. I don't have to worry about her survival for the most part. She's decently fast, and I mean, she just playing mostly the healer for this, just like and cooldown resets, because CDRs is just good. I'm sure this team could work without her, even if I were to just use like Tree instead. They'd be there for the heals and the extra DPS for the most part with poisons and and all of that good stuff. I mean, I could practically use anything for the healer spot. It would take longer because we have to wait for cooldowns to reset on the unit, so the speeds wouldn't be as fast, but it would still work essentially the same way. So that's the basic gist and a rundown of how the things work. I mean, you definitely want the Earth Kabir to move first. You want the fire Kabir to pretty much come after your main CC unit, whether if you have Hermit. And I definitely built Hermit up this time just to do ToT, because I mean normally I use Sapphire, but I haven't been really playing around with Sapphire much other than being my solo defense in my AD. But Sapphire's defense is really low, and what really got me to thinking like running double accuracy and worrying about CC more than survival was when we had that one event where it was pretty much ToT fights. It was like going from ToT Nightmare to ToT Hell, because it was just so ridiculously hard. I think the stage 2 I didn't even complete because the stage 1 was just so ridiculous, and everything had so much resistance. If you didn't come in with like 130, 140 accuracy, it just wasn't, you was having a rough time. So that kind of made me really think hard, like these are still like the actual ToT fights in ToT, the normal ToT, and in the ToT Advanced and the ToT Nightmare. So this gotta be, like, playing like this gotta be a really good strategy just for doing ToT in general, even at its easiest form. So it makes it a lot easier for you. You don't have to struggle. And I mean, I'm doing this with 2-star units, so you definitely don't need 4 stars, at least not for advanced. I don't know what to say about Nightmare because I haven't really touched Nightmare that much. It's like I go through and do as much as I can auto, but after that, then I just kind of like stop because ToT takes a real long time to go through it. And I mean, I'm so late putting out this video, let alone the other videos that I'm gonna have to try to pump out through this weekend. But that's about it for the most part. I hope you enjoyed. Can't wait to share more and do some more ToT testing of units, because I do want to do like a curse build, especially since I pulled this guy. He doesn't have any glyphs now, but he probably gets some eventually. I don't know, because I put all my focus onto the team that I built for ToT. So yeah, accuracy is really short right now. We need some more accuracy glyphs, especially with this new update that's probably live by the time this video goes up, with the changes and accuracy and everything. So I definitely want to learn like a curse build, probably from, even though I haven't used him a long time, maybe put him in there, and those 3. If not, it'll just be Face and the Air Necro, and then probably like 3 CDR or 2 CDR in a CC. I mean, if his CC was still reliable, then it would be the 3 of them and 2 CDR or something. One last note I would like to add about that team is it's not an auto team. I tried. It definitely doesn't work on auto, manual only. So you would definitely have to put something else in for autoing, especially the units being squishy. You can't rely on RNG to work in your favor with your units being that squishy. They'd probably be long health quite often. You might need a more reliable healer, because I mean, it was meant to be played strategically, so that's why the team is built the way it is. So no autoing with that team because it would not work. But that's it. So yeah, something to think about later. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please do hit that thumbs up button, because it does help, you know, put my content up at the top and everything. Then hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. You know, click that motherfucker. Click that motherfucker. Click it. And then turn those post notifications on so you can know every time I post a video. And this is the Gamer Dude signing out. See you in the next one. Deuces.